I'm on my way. I'm on my way. I'm on my way. I'm on my way.
Welcome back to another episode of Them Football Guys. It's your host, Oluwa Baba Yaga. We're back with another episode of Start Sit. This is the Week 8 edition wide receiver version. We're going to run through all 16 games this week. Over under 16 games this week. There's no bye weeks this week, so every team is playing. All players who are not injured are available. So we have a lot of games to go through. So we're going to run through this as smoothly and efficiently as possible. So let me bring the board up so we can start with the Cardinals and Dolphins for the wide receivers. Before I start, thank y'all for tuning in. Like and subscribe, hit a comment, hit that notification bell. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and let's get into this. For the wide receivers are coded in blue. All the other positions don't matter for this video. We have for the Cardinals and Dolphins 1 p.m. game this weekend. No London game this weekend either. We have Marvin Harrison Jr. as a start, though he's been a repeat disappointment as far as rookies go. Well, I guess as far as players go, but he is a rookie despite all the hype he had coming into the season. Marvin Harrison Jr. is still a start this week. I don't think he goes out there and gives you 3 again, especially not against this Dolphins defense. So Marvin Harrison Jr. is a start this week. We have Tyreek Hill and Waddle because Tua is playing this week, is expected to play this week. So as long as he plays, both Tua and Tyreek Hill are both starts this week. For the Dolphins, pretty easy to call. If Tua does not play this week, though, I'm not starting Tyreek Hill or Waddle with what's that boy's name? With either Tyler Huntley or the other backup for the Dolphins starting. So note that. Moving on to the next game, we have Jets at Patriots for the 1 p.m. game. Right now, the Patriots have no starts as far as this list is concerned. But personally, I'd put Demario Douglas as a start simply because if he plays, Drake May seems to favor him. It is a tougher matchup against the Jets corners. But I think the volume could help work that out. As far as everybody else for the Patriots, that's Jalen Polk. That's Boutte. I don't remember his first name. They're both sits. And on the Jets side of it, we have Garrett Wilson and Davante Adams. Davante Adams is a new addition to the offense, but he was Aaron Rodgers' wide receiver 1 at the Packers. And Garrett Wilson being semi-relegated to the wide receiver 2 on his offense, I think he draws less coverage, more opportunities, and that does push out Adam Lazard and Mike Williams out of the equation to some degree, and makes them both sits for us this week. But overall, I think it's a good situation for the 2 top receivers at the Jets, and especially against a kind of a lighter Patriots secondary. But we'll see how that goes. But I have Garrett Wilson and Davante Adams as starts. Demario Douglas also as my flex. Allen Lazard and Mike Williams as sits. Lazard, if you had to pick one of the 2, I would say Lazard works his way into a starter, into a flex role. And Jalen Polk is a sit in every condition. We have Eagles at Bengals. This one's a pretty loaded game as far as wide receivers are concerned. It's not the most loaded game, as you can see, but it is. Yeah, we have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, must starts every week. Devontae Smith had a pretty game last week, but that's par for the course of playing with someone like AJ Brown on as the wide receiver 1. So Devontae Smith and AJ Brown are must starts, especially against the weak Bengals secondary. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins seem to be on pace with each other this season. T. Higgins was I think a 3rd round pick this year. Jamar Chase being a late 1st round pick. Their numbers are virtually identical, so both of them are must starts this week. No hate either way. As far as sits go, we have each of us and Jahan Dotson. Since T. Higgins returned, each of us has been a non-factor, and since the trade occurred, Jahan Dotson has been a non-factor. So nothing to consider there. No need to break the wheel. No need to reinvent the wheel on that one. So um, the next one we have Jaden Reed. No, the next game we have Packers at Jaguars, still in the 1 o'clock window. We have Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson, and Wicks. I do not agree with all of them as a start. Um, I think right now we have Romeo Dobbs as after his temper tantrum. I think we have him as a guaranteed start after the last 2 weeks. The production has been there. Christian Watson, he's still technically the number one on that offense. I do not have Wicks as a flex. I think Wicks caught a touchdown last week. He did something, but Wicks is not consistent enough for me to guarantee him as a flex or as a start. Jaden Reed is the most, I want to say the most or second most talented receiver out of the three that are here, so you can start him. But with the Packers offense, just know it's possible that one of those three between Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson, and Jaden Reed has a subpart game. On the side of the Jaguars, we have Christian Kirk and Brian Thomas Jr. Brian Thomas Jr. is an absolute start. No doubt about that. Christian Kirk, on the other hand, I would have as a flex. I think he's a good option if you are short on options, especially with all the injuries coming up and the opportunity is here. But with the Packers defense, I don't think I would risk Christian Kirk in my lineup this week if I don't have to. But yeah, we'll keep him on the flex starts. As far as sits goes, Gabe Davis and Rome Oduns. Uh, yeah, Gabe Davis is a boomer bust, but he's not with Josh Allen anymore, so we don't know when the boom is coming. We don't know when the bust is coming. Pause, but we know it's coming at some point. So I have him as sit, and I'll probably have him as a sit for the foreseeable future unless I see a change in that offense. But yeah, I'm not gonna let last week have me shifting him over. As far as Rome goes, he is still the third option, probably the fourth option, maybe the fifth option on this offense right now. Behind hold on, why is Rome? That's I'm about to start naming Bears players. Rome should not be on this list. The only sit here is Gabe Davis. I'll correct that from our editors later. So let's move on to the next game. We have Falcons at Buccaneers. Um, there's 2 starts on this team, and everyone else is an option, but none of them are guaranteed. We have Drake London and Darnell Mooney as starts. Kirk Cousins' favorite targets for wide receivers. They're consistent. They've been producing. Drake London's been consistent as hell, double digits, over 15 points almost the whole season. With Mike Evans out and Chris Godwin out for the season, the Buccaneers have no guaranteed starts, but we do have the options between McMillan and Sterling Shepard. I had them both as flex plays if you have to. Hopefully you don't have to. Trey Palmer is a bona fide sit for me. He may be the one to choose, but I think his role is more so the same as McMillan's, and McMillan was the preferred option when they both were injured. Um, Seeing as how Mike Evans got injured earlier in the game, McMillan had more of the targets, and Sterling Shepard plays the slot. So when Chris Godwin was injured, it was towards the end of the game, so he didn't really see an uptake and work with that. Ray McLeod, I'm not starting. I have him as a bona fide sit also. Moving on to the next game, which is the Ravens at Browns 1 p.m. game. We have Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman. Zay Flowers is questionable, and Rashad Bateman has proven that they said he was the wide receiver one for the Ravens during the offseason. It's not true unless Zay Flowers is injured. But either way, has been reliable, double digits the last 3 games, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, if you have the opportunity to start him, you can start him. As far as sits goes, Nelson Aguilar, no. He's a deep threat. He's a very situational player. The Ravens, if they choose to pass him the ball, the game is usually going one way or the other. Jerry Jeudy's a sit. We've seen him 3 games in a row, less than 3 targets. I think less than 2 targets, to be honest. I think he had 1 reception in the last couple of games. There is Cedric Tillman, who's also for the Browns, Cleveland, who also plays for Cleveland Browns, who seems to be the preferred target of BTR being backup to backup connection. But I do think that 1 week of practice with the starters, getting starter reps, Jerry Judy does kind of take some of Tillman's work. But either way, Tillman's a sit, Judy's a sit, Aguilar's a sit. We are at the halfway point. So thank y'all for tuning in. Again, I'm just gonna remind y'all, like and subscribe, hit that notification bell. That's how you help us grow as a channel. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Interact with us on those platforms. We're friendly, we don't bite. And if you are one of those people who don't like to watch videos, we are on Apple Music and Spotify. Give us a thumbs up there, get us up those boards. And let's get back to the start sits. We have Colts at Texans. Jesus, another 1 p.m. game. Like I said, there's no bye weeks. A lot of football this weekend, a lot of games going on. So if you are betting this weekend, spread your bets out. Don't put them all on one. Don't put them all on one specific. On all the games. Don't put your bets on all 16 games. Spread them out through the 1 p.m.s. Take a couple of them. There's a lot of games to go around this week. But we do have Stefon Diggs and Tank Dell. Tank Dell, I know he gave most people, I think, 0 or 0.8 last week. I think Tank Dell has a bounce back game this week. I think last week was just a bad game for Stroud. And then because it was a bad game for Stroud, it became a bad game for Tank Dell and Stefon Diggs. But Stefon Diggs and Tank Dell, people you have to start this week. Unavoidable situations. Games like that do happen from time to time. But yeah, I think with I don't forgot his name. Well, with him out the game, I think Tank Dell still has to remain a must start this week. Michael Pittman is the only starter for the Colts with Anthony Richardson playing, and that right there, I would even have Michael Pittman as a flex. I don't have him as a guaranteed start, but if you drafted Michael Pittman, you're probably starting Michael Pittman, and that's not even necessarily true. But if you have to start Michael Pittman, you can start him and see what happens. But he is downgraded to a flex play unless Joe Flacco enters the game. As far as sits, every wide receiver for the Colts. So Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, Donde Mitchell. Alec Pierce may be a flex also due to his big play potential with Anthony Richardson, but again, that's boom or bust, and we don't really like to chase those around here. So yeah, I'll leave that to someone else. The next game, still the 1 o'clock window, and our last game for the 1 o'clock window, we have Titans versus the Lions. This game, JMO is questionable and is facing a possible suspension, two-game suspension for PEDs. So he's probably a flex at best because JMO's numbers are starting to teeter boom or bust territory, where some games he's looking at 30 and other games he's looking at 1-0. So yeah, JMO is a flex for me. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a must start. No question about it on that side. As far as Calvin Ridley goes, I have him as a low flex because Will Levis is possibly playing and Mason Rudolph didn't look any better. So we have this issue where even though DeAndre Hopkins is left, I don't think that makes the quarterback play any better, or I don't think that increases his workload because he did have a game with 0 where he had 8 targets. So it's not the workload. It's something else going on over there. So I'm going to have really closer to a sit and a flex sit for me than a flex start. And yeah, that pretty much covers the Titans Lions games. So we could shift into the 1 o'clock, the 4:05, 4 p.m. windows. Start with the Saints at Chargers, 4:05 game. We have Lad McConkey. He's actually questionable this week, but he's the only starter. He's the only player you can start for the Chargers. I'll actually put Joshua Palmer as a flex also because he's been out. He had his first game back last week, and he kind of, I believe he led the team in yards. So Josh Palmer had his best game of the season so far. So I probably consider him as a flex start, but on the sit side, I wouldn't start him for sure. And with that, with Josh Palmer being back, Lad McConkey honestly also kind of falls into that same flex sit category. And the only receiver I would start for the Saints is Chris Olave. That's it. They don't really have a second option. And with Derek Carr still out and Spencer Rattler playing, Saints offense have looked worse with Rattler in. So, yeah, it's kind of nasty over there. So even Olav is still closer on the closer end on the further end of the start list, but it is what it is. As far as sits goes, we have Quentin Johnson, Joshua Palmer, still a starts, still a flex it, and yeah, that's pretty much it. We can move into the Bills and Seahawks game, the first 425 game we have. We have Khalil Shakur, who is questionable this week, but we have him as a start. We have Amari Cooper as a start. We have Keon Coleman as a start. Personally, I think Khalil Shakur is a flex. I feel like with Amari Cooper joining this offense, we have a kind of a shift in hierarchy where all three of them are involved, but Keon Coleman's role has always been kind of at this point he thrives off of busted coverage. At this point, it seems like, but Amari Cooper is the de facto one, the only must start here between Shakur and Coleman. Both of them are flexes for me. So do note that. As far as the Seahawks go, we have Tyler Lockett, who's a flex, DK Metcalf as a must start, and JSN as a sit for me personally. He's not consistent enough to be considered a start, and I don't think he's consistent enough in this offense with Tyler Lockett still there to be a flex either. For sits, we have Curtis Samuel and Mac Hollins. Neither of them are factors in the offense, and to be honest, in about 2 weeks, they'll probably stop being on the list if they continue with the trajectory that they are, especially with Amari Cooper emerging on the offense or being traded to this offense. Next 425 game, we have Bears at Commanders. One of the games, one of the most anticipated games this week. We have rookie Caleb Williams against rookie Jaden Daniels. I think it was the 101 and the 102. So, people are really looking forward to this game overall. We have Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, must starts. Romo Duns this is where he belongs, by the way, Gator, when you watch this video. And we have Terry McLaurin as the only start for the Commanders receiving core. Between Luke McCaffrey, Dimey Brown, Noah Brown, and Romo Duns, they're all sits simply because they're not utilized enough and consistently enough in the offense. So we have to sit them, let it be what it is. But look out for if any of them had any usability consistently, it's probably Luke McCaffrey, but even that is fickle at best. We have Panthers at Broncos, another 425 game. Deontay Johnson is the only player here worth starting, and even that I have him as a flex. Everybody else for the Panthers and the Broncos are a sit for me. That's Xavier Legette, Jonathan Mingo, Joshua Reynolds, and Cortland Sutton. There's not enough consistency there to deem any of these people a start. Any given week it can go any different way. So, yeah. Chiefs versus Raiders, a divisional game. At least that hurts. And by numbers, but whatever. The only receivers we have here, we have DeAndre Hopkins, quick turnaround. We saw most of the traded players last week did good enough to be worth starting. We have DeAndre Hopkins and Xavier Worthy for the Kansas City Chiefs. If Jacoby Myers plays for me, I have him as a start. AOC is out, but Gardner Minshew's in. Gardner Minshew played a terrible game last week, and I don't think he planned to play. I don't think he had any idea that he was going to see that field, and it showed in his play. So when we're talking sits, I probably have Trey Tucker, Juju Smith-Schuster's out, and Justin Watson. Is that Justin Watson? I think Sky Moore. He's also a sit. Yeah, anybody that's not those two are going to be a sit for us. The next game, we have the 8:20 game, which is the Cowboys and Niners game. We have CeeDee Lamb as a start. He's had a rough couple of weeks, and this week's probably going to be no better. We have CeeDee Lamb as a start, though, because he is your first round pick. He's probably your first overall. He's probably the first overall in some leagues. So you have CeeDee Lamb. You start CeeDee Lamb. Deebo Samuel is questionable this week. He was released from the hospital at a little pneumonia attack, so he's going to play this week. Juwan Jennings is questionable, and we have no guarantee that he is playing. So they're both on the start list if they do play, but that's going to come down to the night. So you want to pay attention to that. We have Ricky Purcell as a sit, Jalen Tolbert as a sit. And that's it. Yeah, for the Cowboys 49ers game. We are back to one Monday Night Football game. We have Giants at Steelers. We have George Pickens, second emergence or third emergence at this point, with Russell Wilson as a start. Malik Neighbors, probably the number 2 wide receiver as far as rookies goes this year, with him being injured the last couple of weeks, kind of in bad, and he had a kind of a slow week last week. But he is a must start this week. Wan'Dale Robinson emergence, but producing consistently. The only other receiver that we could consider on the Giants while Neighbors is healthy for a start. So we have George Pickens, Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson. As far as sits goes, we have Calvin Austin Jr., we have Van Jefferson, and we have Darius Slayton. All sits. Slayton, if for some reason Neighbors doesn't play, Slayton is a must start. Van Jefferson and Calvin Austin, they have no path to success at the moment. We'll see how this game goes if Russell Wilson chooses to bless one of them and make them more than likely Calvin Austin relevant. But I wouldn't bank on it. So thank y'all for tuning in, man. Long video. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Hit that notification bell. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I've said it many times. We appreciate y'all, talking to us there, talking to us in the comments, letting us know who you want to start, who you're looking forward to. Ask us your questions, who you want to drop, who you want to release, who you want to trade for. We have a lot of content coming for you, and we have a lot more season left to do. We still have time to win those leagues. Thank y'all for everything y'all do for us, and we appreciate y'all. Them football guys, we out of here. In the bag, I had a